Alright, Femson, I got your anal beads. What the heck are you doing?
Hello, Father. I am meditating in hopes that one day when I die, I will reincarnate as a black person living in Wakanda.
You know, you don't actually have to be black to go to Wonkaland, right?
No, Dad, Wakanda from the Black Panther movie.
Oh, you know, I haven't seen it yet. Was it any good?
Was MLK Jr. any good?
What is up, everybody? It's Hunter Avallone here, and welcome to a brand new video. So the other day, I went to see the black community's second coming of Jesus Christ, Black Panther. The movie that has critics raving, white liberals cucking, black people acting like MLK is back from the dead, and me wondering, why? Now, please keep in mind that going into this movie, I was expecting it to be really, really good. Yes, SJWs are screeching about it in their annoying shrill voices, but from what I've heard, this movie was really good. I was even hoping that I'd like the movie enough to watch it a second time when it was available to rent online. I just want to make it very clear that I'm not about to say what I'm going to say just to be controversial or stir the pot or something like that. This is my honest review. The movie was, in short, about a fictional African land called Wakanda. And in this fictional land, they have massive technological advances that allow them to save people's lives and so on. But because of their intense desire to stay hidden and keep their citizens safe, they didn't share these powers with the rest of the world, even when they could have been used to help other black people. There were definitely some things that I liked about this movie, which I'll talk about next, but unfortunately, the list of things that I didn't like is much longer. The first thing that I highly disliked about this movie were the attempted jokes. There was one point near the beginning of the movie where the bad black villain Killmonger was talking to a white woman in a museum where he said that she stole a tool from Africa just like you stole everything else. There was another part where a white guy who was on the black people's side was injured, and one of the black girls said something like, "Oh, another white boy we have to fix." And then later, the same white guy accidentally scared the same black girl, and she said something like, "Don't scare me like that, colonizer." It was just your typical cliche hip liberal humor. It wasn't edgy, it fell really flat, and it felt like a really bad attempt at trying to appear woke. Aside from all the race baiting jokes, they also tried to reference memes a few times. At one point, one of the black girls actually said, "What are those?" about someone's shoes, and yes, it did make me want to vomit. And there was another part where the other villain, Claw, was talking to some guy and made a joke about sending him his SoundCloud link or something. The jokes, the humor, it was bad. They made me want to legitimately claw my own ears off. Hey, look! My jokes are just as good as the movies. But a few cringy jokes aren't really a big deal. It certainly wasn't the only reason why I especially didn't like this movie. In the beginning, when Black Panther was being set in as king, it actually looked really bad. Not only was the use of green screen painfully obvious, but when his rule was challenged and Black Panther was forced to fight this random challenger, it felt really rushed and honestly really cheesy. Fast forward to around the halfway point of the movie, and at this point, I'm bored. The plot felt really slow at times and then really rushed during other times. Now, this is just my own opinion, but I also found the movie really hard to relate to. Not because the main characters were black, but because of how fantasy-based, whimsical, and unrealistic the location of Wakanda was. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of superhero movies do this. You know, take Gotham City, for example. But a lot of these superhero movies have a hint of realism in the location so that the audience can relate to it more. For example, Spider-Man takes place in New York City. You can picture what it would be like to walk through New York City, look up, and see a man swinging from building to building. It offers realism among the unrealistic nature of the superhero, whereas Black Panther didn't really do much of this. There were definitely some real-life locations. They were in South Korea at one point and a few urban cities and things like that, but overall the movie felt a bit unrelatable because of how whimsical and fantasy-based the location was. Even the final battle scene between Black Panther and Killmonger failed to impress me. At one point point, these giant CGI rhinos appeared and had people riding on them, and that part looked honestly extremely cheesy and was way too heavy on the CGI for me.
Now, Black Panther wins, of course, but as Killmonger dies,
he says some pretty woke lines. As he's dying, he asks to be buried in the ocean with his ancestors because even they knew that death was better than bondage. I'm sure liberals everywhere were just wetting themselves over that line. Finally, we get to the very end, and yes, it was wholesome, but again, I felt like the delivery was just really cheesy. Near the end, you saw some black kids playing basketball, and then they sort of looked up and there was a Wakanda ship up above, but it just felt really forced and really tacky. Near the very end, the Wakandas were also giving a speech where they said something like, "Only the foolish build barriers." This definitely seemed like a subtle diss at Trump, and it's not a big deal, it's not any reason to hate the movie or not see the movie or something like that, but again, it's just cliche and predictable. Now, aside from all the things that I didn't like, there were certainly some aspects of this film that I definitely enjoyed and that I definitely did like. First of all, the movie focused very heavily on African culture. You had a lot of people wearing old-fashioned African garb, and they also had a lot of African music for the sound score. The music was definitely one of my favorite parts of the movie. It was very different, and it definitely made the movie stand out. It gave it a bit of uniqueness.
The creators also did a really good job with Killmonger's backstory, revealing that Killmonger was angry because Black Panther's father had killed Killmonger's father when he was young.
The creators did a really good job kind of tying this in with the plot, and you also were really able to sympathize with the villain. You could really see both sides, which was really cool. A lot of movies don't do this. You could understand that Wakanda should stay hidden to keep their citizens safe, but at times you question if that was correct. Maybe they should use their powers to help other people in need in the world. Although most of the effects were really basic and some of them were just borderline corny, there were definitely a few effects that were really cool. They just looked awesome, and it definitely had some really high quality action scenes as well. And again, I really appreciated the wholesome ending. Black Panther decides to open up facilities to help inner city kids. It was really nice to see them using their knowledge to actually help others.
Because I am the one who is next up.
Overall, the movie was highly overrated. The plot felt choppy and changed paces a lot. For me, all the jokes fell completely flat, the attempt at being woke was tacky as hell, and the movie mostly felt pretty rushed and sorta corny. This movie is not at all the saving grace that it's being made out to be. Overall, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10, and on a bad, decent, and good scale, it's definitely a solid decent. And all the people that are now offended with me, I'm not gonna like a movie just because the main characters happen to be black. I'm gonna like a movie if the movie's good. And unfortunately for Black Panther, it really wasn't that good. Easily the most overrated and overhyped movie of the year so far.
Give 'em a hit of acid and a DVD of Rugrats.
Most of you have probably already seen and laughed at the reaction this movie is getting, especially from the left. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen liberals this excited about something since welfare was introduced. Listen, if there's one thing we've learned, politicizing movies almost always ruins them. Yet the left simply doesn't seem to be able to learn this. You have the New York Times wondering if white kids can dress up as Black Panther. Yeah, guys, now this is a cultural appropriation issue. Now this claims the cast of Black Panther is hella diverse, then admits that 90% of the cast is black. Diverse does not just mean no white people. Sorry to burst your bubble. And then of course we have the hilarious liberal reactions on Twitter. I decided to pick my all-time favorites. White people shouldn't be allowed to review Black Panther lest their innate racial bias subconsciously reflect in their reviewing. White people simply can't be impartial. People of color only, please. Yeah, let me think about that. No. Keep in mind, this comes from a non-binary, race-queer, gender-capitalist, male feminist with Z pronouns. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely want this fedora-wearing beta male who sounds like he just escaped a mental asylum to educate me on what movies I can review. Cucking for this movie does not make you sound cool. It doesn't make you sound like you're pro-black or something like that. It makes you sound stupid, and it makes you sound like a kiss-ass. And then, of course, we have BuzzFeed.
This feels like a moment, doesn't it?
It's a moment. It doesn't feel like it is a moment.
There's something in the air. There's something spiritual that's happening.
Yes, a Hollywood movie with the intent to make money is certainly a spiritual awakening. I mean, who even needs church when you have Black Panther? I'll get to work on the freaking shrine.
It is by far one of the most powerful, just I can't even put it in words. To see African, black, I'm still on the verge of like the connection of tears, of the emotion.
Listen, it's fine if these guys like the movie, but it sounds a lot like these people like the movie because it had black people in the movie. Hell, I don't care if a movie consists of gay, black, transgender midgets. I'm not gonna judge a movie based on the color of the main characters. I'm gonna judge it based on its substance and content. All in all, Black Panther is gonna continue to crush the box office and continue being praised by everyone. However, people that leave it a bad review shouldn't be demonized. Now, because of my review, well, people are probably gonna assume that I joined the Klan last week. If you haven't seen the movie yet, go check it out. Don't let my one opinion stop you from seeing the movie. But don't expect anything more than your average, basic superhero movie. Some people love it, and that's fine. Some people hate it, and that's also fine. To me, it was just another overrated superhero movie. Thank you everyone for watching. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. Unlike Muslims, peace.